Have you ever wondered about the rich history of Tamil literature and its cultural roots? Long before Shakespeare or Kalidasa, ancient Tamil poets were crafting verses of love, war, and wisdom. This was a golden chapter in India's literary and cultural history called the Sangam Age. Tamil literature has a rich history spanning over 20 centuries. The earliest phase is known as the Sangam literature, characterized by collection of odes, lyrics, and idylls composed when Pandyan kings supported eminent poets. These poets functioned as literary censors, ensuring quality. Later scholars used the term Sangam to refer to this association of poets and scholars. The Sangam age is generally believed to have lasted from around 300 BCE to 300 CE. While the legendary details about the Sangam period may not be entirely accurate, the existence of an institution like the Sangam is undeniable. The Tolkappiyam describes court poets carefully reviewing important texts, showing a vibrant tradition of learning and scholarship. But to our dismay, much of the Sangam literature has been lost over time, likely due to historical events. What remains is just a fraction of the original texts from this significant literary period. Moving forward in this video, we will be discussing extent, politics, kingdoms, and much more of the Sangam age. Let's start with the extent. Pandya kingdom was located in the extreme south of India, covering modern districts of Madurai, Ramnad, and Tirunelveli. The capital was Madurai, with earlier capitals being Tenmadurai and Kaptapuram. The main seaport was Korkai, with another at Saliyur. Chola Kingdom. It comprised the lower Kaveri Valley, roughly corresponding to modern Tanjore and Tiruchirappalli districts. The inland capital was Urayur, later known as Puhar. Chera Kingdom. It covered the western coastal strip above the northern limit of the Pandyan kingdom. The capital was Vanji or Karur. Best-known ports included Tondi and Muziris. Let's discuss the political and administrative structure of the Sangam age. The Sangam period was characterized by several small kingdoms, each ruled by a king with absolute power. The Chera, Chola, and Pandya kingdoms were the most significant powers, with kings from the Kshatriya warrior clan. These major kingdoms ruled large parts of Tamil Nadu, while smaller kingdoms were governed by subordinate kings who pledged allegiance to the larger powers. Warfare between these kingdoms was common. Ministers and officials. The king was assisted by a council of ministers responsible for advising him and helping with the administration. This council played a crucial role in maintaining stability in the kingdom by guiding the king and overseeing various administrative functions. The Sabha, an assembly of ministers, officials, and elders, advised the king on important matters. While the public could participate in electing kings and village assemblies, only upper caste men were allowed in the Sabha. Social classes. Sangam society was divided into Varnas, Brahmans, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. Slaves were at the bottom. These divisions determined status and responsibilities. Land and taxes. Agriculture was the primary occupation during the Sangam age, and land was the main source of wealth. Various types of taxes were levied, including a fixed share of agricultural produce, taxes on trades and professions, and special cesses. The revenue from these taxes primarily supported the royal court and the military. Army and warfare. Army composition. The army included different types of soldiers such as infantry, cavalry, and units with chariots and elephants. Battles were fought using basic weapons like swords, shields, spears, bows, and arrows. Kings maintained strong armies to defend and expand their territories. Now let's discuss the Chola dynasty in detail. The Chola dynasty becomes a significant power under the medieval Cholas. 907 to 1215 CE was the peak period of Chola rule, unifying peninsular India south of the Tungabhadra River. Rajaraja I and successors. Under their leadership, the Chola Empire becomes a military, economic, and cultural powerhouse in South and Southeast Asia. During the early 13th century, the Chola Empire declined with the rise of the Pandyan dynasty. Here are some periods of Chola history. Early Cholas. The period described in Sangam literature, representing the earliest known phase of Chola history. Interregnum. The time between the decline of the Sangam Cholas and the emergence of the imperial medieval Cholas under Vijaya around 848 CE. Dynasty of Vijaya. The period of the Chola dynasty under Vijaya, marking the beginning of the imperial phase. Later Chola dynasty. The era of Kulothunga Chola I, starting from the third quarter of the 11th century, represents the final phase of Chola rule. Now, what was their polity and structure? The supreme ruler was referred to as king, or Perumal Adigal. The throne was hereditary, with the eldest son succeeding. Council of ministers known as Udankuttam supported the king. The Raja Guru, the royal family priest, was a crucial advisor. Administrative structure. A sophisticated hierarchy with Perundanam, higher officials, and Sirudarambi, lower officials. Provincial government. The empire was divided into principalities under vassal chiefs and mandalams, provinces under viceroys, typically royal princes. Now let's talk about the administrative structure in the Chola Empire. The Chola Empire had a sophisticated administrative structure. The empire was divided into 9 provinces, mandalams, each ruled by a viceroy who was a close relative of the king. Each mandalam was divided into kotams or valnadus, which were further subdivided into nadus. Villages were self-sufficient with high autonomy, managed by village assemblies. Village assemblies known as Variya Perumakkal gathered in the village temple or other locations. They had sovereign rights to levy and remit taxes, resolve disputes, and manage charitable activities. Varyans were specialized committees that managed different aspects of village administration. Examples include Thotavriyam, flower gardens, Nyaya Varyam, justice, Dharma Varyam, charities and temples, Erivriyam, water tanks, and Pon Varyam, finance. The effectiveness of these variants contributed significantly to the efficiency of Chola local administration. Members performed honorable service without compensation, reflecting the principles of sacrifice and duty for the welfare of the village community. The committee guidelines during the Chola period specified the structure of the committees, the qualifications required for membership, and the procedures for their selection. To be eligible, candidates had to meet certain selection criteria such as owning land, being between the ages of 35 and 70, and having knowledge of Vedic texts, along with other specific qualifications. The selection process involved nominating candidates from 30 wards, and members were then chosen through the Kudvolai system, a lottery method using pot tickets for a term of 1 year. Now, Ur represented non-Brahman landowners, while Sabha denoted Brahman authority in village governance. Towns also had independent administration governed by Nagrattar councils. Uttarmerur inscriptions are the key source documenting village administration, inscribed under Chola King Parantaka I, 919 to 921 CE. Now, another important point to discuss is the position of women in Sangam age. Women in Sangam society enjoyed certain freedoms whilst facing traditional constraints. They moved freely in towns, played at riverbeds, and joined temple festivals. They participated in public life but remained subordinate to men. Few women received formal education despite some references in literature. Marriage was sacred rather than legal. Elopements sometimes occurred before formal unions. Widows faced harsh conditions, including the practice of sati. What were the religious beliefs of people from the Sangam era? Sangam people embraced multiple forms of worship rather than monotheism. Their practices included animism and various deity veneration traditions. Trees, stones, water bodies, animals, stars, and planets were all considered sacred. Natural elements formed the core of spiritual practices. Muruga, one of the primary deity, was worshipped by hill-dwelling hunters. Cowherds revered Thirumal, seeking blessings for prosperous cattle herds. Secular approach to religion prevailed throughout the Sangam age. Different beliefs coexisted without serious religious conflicts. Moving on, how did Brahmanism come in Tamil Nadu? Brahmanic practices remained confined to small pockets of Tamil society during the early centuries. At the same time, traditional worship of Murugan continued alongside the emerging veneration of Vishnu. To support these practices, rulers performed Vedic sacrifices, thereby legitimizing Brahmanical traditions alongside indigenous beliefs. In addition, Brahmins conducted scholarly disputations and ceremonial rituals in the emerging temple complexes. However, despite the growing Brahmanical influence, indigenous practices persisted. For example, megalithic offerings to ancestors continued throughout the Sangam era, demonstrating cultural continuity amidst religious evolution. Let's learn about what gave Sangam period its name, Sangam literature. Sangam literature represents a vast collection of Tamil works produced under royal patronage. These ancient texts illuminate social, economic, political, and religious aspects of early South Indian civilization. Few of them are Melkanakku, narrative texts comprising 18 major works, 8 anthologies, and 10 idyls. Kilkanakku, didactic works containing 18 minor texts focused on moral teachings. Ettuthogai, 8 anthologies including Aingurunuru, Naranai, Agnauru, and Purnanuru. Epic works. The celebrated twin epics Silapadikaram and Manimekalai crown this literary tradition. Now let's take a look at Tamil twin epics from the Sangam age. Silapadikaram, composed by Elango Adigal around 6th century AD, it is considered the brightest gem of Tamil literature. It is a tragic love story of Kovalan, who abandons his wife Kannagi for courtesan Madhvi of Kaveripatnam. Manimekalai, written by Sittalai Sattanar. It chronicles the adventures of Madhvi and Kovalan's daughter. Other works are Tolkappiyam by Tolkappiyar on Tamil grammar, Tirukkural containing philosophical maxims. These masterpieces provide invaluable insights into Sangam polity, society, and cultural values. They remain foundational texts that illuminate the sophisticated literary tradition of ancient Tamil civilization. Moving on to another important dynasty, the Chera dynasty. Uttiya Cheralathan was the earliest known ruler of the Chera dynasty, based in Kujumur, Kuttanad, Kerala. Kulsekhara Alvar, around 800 AD, was the first king of the later Chera kingdom and ruled for over 20 years from Tiruvanchikulam. Cheran Sengutuvan, who lived in the 2nd century AD, was renowned for his military achievements and for introducing the Pattini cult. After the 2nd century AD, the power of the Cheras declined, and there is limited historical information available until the 8th century AD. Polity and administration of Cheras. Royal power. The king was the most powerful person in the empire, but his power was constrained by the council of ministers and learned persons of his court. Daily darbars were held to address common people's problems. Local governance. Manrams functioned in each village, with meetings held by village elders under a banyan tree. They helped in local dispute settlement and hosted village festivals. Succession system. The Cheras followed a collateral system of succession, with the eldest member of the family ascending the throne, regardless of their residence. Moving on to the Pandya kingdom. The Pandya kingdom was a historic Tamil dynasty that ruled parts of South India. It was one of the three ancient Tamil dynasties in existence since the 4th century BCE. The dynasty ruled intermittently until the 15th century. Initially, they dominated from Korkai before shifting their capital to Madurai. The Pandyas reached their peak of power from the 12th to 14th century CE. Origin of the Pandya dynasty. The name Pandya comes from the Tamil term Pandi, meaning the bull, which symbolized manhood, power, and courage. During the early period, they ruled from the seaport of Korkai, but later relocated their capital to Madurai. During the peak from the 12th to 14th century CE, the Pandyas were one of the three ancient Tamil kingdoms controlling the Tamil nation. They maintained international relations and had diplomatic alliances with the Greeks, Chinese, Ptolemaic Egyptians, and both the Roman Republic and Empire. The Pandya kingdom was organized into provinces, each governed by a viceroy responsible for tax collection, law and order, and administration. The central government, led by the king and supported by a council of ministers, oversaw the entire kingdom. A well-organized bureaucracy executed orders, while a strong military protected against external threats. Social and cultural aspects of the Pandya kingdom. Pandya society was divided into traditional social groups such as Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, along with occupation-based communities. The caste system was not strictly enforced, and people were often identified more by their profession than their caste. Madurai emerged as a major center for Tamil literature. The Pandya kings actively promoted education, with temples and mutts playing crucial roles in literacy and learning. They granted land and resources to support educational institutions. Women were generally treated as equals to men, with rights to own property and to participate in public events. Royal women had better access to education. The famous Vaishnavite saint poet Andal lived during this time. The legacy of the Sangam age. The Sangam period was marked by the establishment of strong monarchies, with the Cholas, Cheras, and Pandyas forming powerful kingdoms supported by effective governance structures. Village assemblies played a crucial role in local administration and encouraged active community participation. The period witnessed cultural flourishing, with significant advancements in literature, arts, and trade, which laid the foundation for South India's future cultural achievements. The Sangam age had an enduring impact, contributing greatly to the political, economic, and cultural development of South India in the centuries that followed. Philanthropists of the Sangam age. The Sangam period witnessed remarkable philanthropic contributions from influential individuals and families who significantly shaped Tamil society. The Muthriyar kings were generous patrons of arts and literature, funding numerous literary works and supporting Tamil scholars in Madurai. Chola rulers invested heavily in public infrastructure by establishing temples, water tanks, and educational institutions across their territories. The Pashovitteriya family made extensive donations to religious institutions, aiding in the construction and maintenance of temples across the Tamil region. The Kongu Vellalar, an agricultural community, funded irrigation projects and community centers in rural villages. These philanthropists established a strong tradition of patronage that allowed Tamil culture to flourish and thrive for generations. End of the Sangam age. The illustrious Sangam period gradually came to an end in the late 3rd century AD when the Kalabhra dynasty invaded the Tamil lands. This mysterious tribe ruled the region for about 250 years, resulting in a historical dark age that disrupted the established Tamil kingdoms. In conclusion, the Sangam age was a vibrant and influential era that fostered the growth of literature, culture, and strong governance. From the powerful kingdoms of the Cholas, Cheras, and Pandyas to the rich literary traditions they supported, this period laid a lasting foundation for the future development of Tamil society. We hope that you have understood the topic. To watch more videos and study effectively, check out the Eduref app and website.